Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with NFL topic. So I was thinking, watching a bunch of old undisputed clips and watching first take clips, and Tom Brady came to mind, thinking about the new age of quarterbacks and the new generation of quarterbacks. Now, Tom Brady is not a quarterback that's going to dominate statistically or going to wow you with his arms or breakaway tackle moves or anything like that. He's just a student of the game and someone who takes his craft seriously, invests in his craft extensively. So it brought me to the topic of will there be another Tom Brady? And a simple answer is no. So for the simple fact of Tom Brady's study habits and his ability to be meticulous is not displayed enough today, or it's not exercised enough today. So we already know with the way that the game's going now, it's a passing league. Everything's predicated on passing and passing. And all of these different passing attempts, all of the records are going to be, pretty much crushed every 5 to 10 years. So the passing records are pretty much irrelevant now, or they're not as important as they used to be. You know, we probably have 100,000 yard passer eventually if someone plays long enough, just because just so much passing going on now. They're devaluing the running backs, but Saquon Barkley just showed you last year that the running backs are very important to a team, especially if you have a quarterback who's okay. If you don't have a Pat Mahomes, or you don't have pretty much if you just don't have a Pat Mahomes, you're gonna need a running back. But back in the day, you had Tom Brady and you had Peyton Manning, who really didn't have elite running backs all the time, and they still got the job done. They still won a bunch of games and still won some titles. But Tom Brady showed you this game is about mentality, preparation, and determination. It's not about athletic skill as much. One of my favorite topics from the Undisputed Show with Skip and Shannon Sharp, Ray Lewis broke down why Tom Brady is the greatest, because he said he's a master in this game, because he's going to sit down on film and watch where your weakness is. He's going to, figure out where your third cornerback is and go at him. Nowadays, everybody's going off of athletic talent. There's not a lot of film study that seems to be going around. Now, Tom Brady on that Tom versus Tom, that Facebook series he had, he broke down how he watched film, or gave you a glimpse or a front row seat to a preview of how he watches film and how meticulous he is. And he's not spending a bunch of time going out to parties and going out doing all these appearances. He's out trying to figure out how he can beat you on Sunday, because he know the losses hurt more than the wins feel good. So we don't really have that as much today. And Tom, maybe we're spoiled from that Tom Brady um, having that Mamba mentality, and he's very similar to Kobe in that way. Kobe, entered the league when he was 18, so he couldn't go out to parties. He had to sit in his room and watch film and study the game and become more of a student, which helped him out tremendously. Um, and I believe that's what Tom Brady's mentality is, similar to that Mamba mentality, because they want to win at all costs, and they want to win more than they want to lose, and it hurts them to lose. Nowadays, they're making so much money, you know, they're on vacation, and it doesn't hurt them as much as they used to hurt the older players back in the day. But this game is totally about mentality. I remember Tom Brady saying against the Kansas City Chiefs one game, is that they asked him about playing in the cold weather. He said people's body slows down, but my mind doesn't. So it was all about mind games with Tom, and figuring out, what are you thinking on this play? And I'm going the opposite direction. So it's a chess match he had going on. It doesn't seem to be much chess nowadays. Maybe I'm spoiled from the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning era, just watching them play and all the audibles that they did and the chess matches they played with the defensive coordinators. It was just amazing to watch at that time. But now it's just more of athleticism, especially, when you think about it, Pat Mahomes, he admitted he didn't know how to read defenses until he got to the NFL. And that's when he was playing the, Bill Belichick defenses. Bill Belichick's held him, you know, I believe scoreless in two halves in two different games, because he knew Pat Mahomes couldn't read defenses. So he was able to disguise his defenses, mix and match them, give them different looks, and it threw Pat Mahomes off. One of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, but he wasn't a student of the game at the time. I'm not sure if he is now, but it seems like he know how to read defenses now. But he wasn't a student of the game then. He was doing it off pure athleticism. This game is about more than athleticism. Of course, it's about mentality. Most everything is about your mind and not your body. It's about that's how you overcome things. And the NFL game is no different. And look at a player like Peyton Manning. He never had an awe factor. He just had a mind that outthought defensive coordinators and minds that outthought defensive players. You don't have to, run a 4-2 at quarterback. That's why most quarterbacks now, to be taken serious, they don't run the 40. They only, they'll throw the football and they'll do the interviews, but they won't do all the speed drills and stuff like that because they know it's not about that. And the more speed you have, the less these owners and people who are drafting these players are going to take you serious. That's why I don't even run those anymore. That's for the skill positions mostly. So, to be the elite level quarterback, it's all about your mentality, about your intelligence, and your willingness to invest in the time. Because it's going to take time, no matter how much football you play to get to the NFL. It's going to take time just to learn the terminologies and all the different things that comes with it. But Tom Brady, he figured it out. Even in college, he shared time with another quarterback, and he still had the drive and hunger to do it. They said when they drafted him, he told, the owner, Robert Kraft, is you won't regret this draft pick. And he never did. They ended up winning 6 Super Bowls. So, in conclusion, there will never be another Tom Brady until these quarterbacks become a student of the game and they invest in the time, and, it's not about the money and the flash. So, as always, thanks for tuning into the Urban Scope podcast. Until next time, I'll see you next time.